Welcome to EVTN News, everyone. Um, and happy second week of Easter, I believe. Yeah, Easter just ended. Well, the octave of Easter ended yesterday, and here we are in the second week of Easter. I'm still eating those peeps. I actually got some really unique flavors. So anyway, maybe that'll be a hot take, or well, let me know your opinion on peeps. Do you like peeps or not? I mean, it's pure sugar, I know, but that doesn't mean much. I mean, you either like it or you don't. I found a lot of people have strong opinions. I think people have a lot of strong opinions, sort of like candy corn. But do you like Peeps? And they have a lot of different flavors now, and those flavors are kind of unique. I'm like, I kind of like it, but I think the original is sort of where it's at. It's sugary marshmallow. When you let them sit for a while, it gets a nice crunch to it. Anyway, there was a Ukrainian bishop who was interviewed by the National Catholic Register, and of course they interviewed him with the situation of the conflict. However, they also asked him about the synod, and um, he had some interesting thoughts. So I can't necessarily believe anything that's said in the media about what's going on in that region of the world. But the synodality thing was pretty interesting. The question was, you, being the bishop, recently participated in the European Synod discussions in Prague, Czech Republic. What were your impressions at the end of the week of debates? What are your main expectations for the Synodal Assembly to be held in Rome next October? The bishop said, according to my observations, most of the participants at the Prague meeting want to be faithful to God's revelation. The documents do not always show this, meaning the Synod documents. The working document that was given to us at Prague omitted what was most important for our faith. The Paschal Mystery was not present. Another question was, would you say that you share the concerns of some bishops and commentators at the end of the week in Prague about the increasing demands for doctrinal change on issues such as the female priesthood and LMNOP marriage? He said, yes, I share this concern, although I do not think that these proposals will be accepted. The emergence of these proposals negatively affects people's faith. Some participants in the Prague meeting were genuinely shocked, scandalized by what the delegations from Germany and Switzerland said. So there's dissent amongst bishops. However, what happens if it comes from the Vatican? I mean, you gotta be ready to stand up for your Catholic faith and resist when necessary. And that's what I don't think people are ready. I mean, have we already crossed that bridge? I think we did. And it's time to reject all the modernist garbage. All right. We're going over to the FBI, and if you see this channel deleted, you'll know why. U.S. Congressman Jim Jordan, chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, wants FBI Director Christopher Wray to testify and provide Congress with more information about the FBI's spying activities against Catholics. Jordan confirmed on April 10th that the FBI planned to engage in outreach to leadership of Richmond, Virginia's Pius X chapels. The FBI used at least one snitch, an employee, to spy on the clergy. Jordan wrote to the FBI on February 16th and received no reply. A March 20th letter received a partial 18-page response that omitted personally identifiable information and specific non-public information about investigation sources and methods. So it didn't include the whole truth. Jordan worries that the FBI may have planted so-called tripwire sources or other informants in the Pius X chapels, it is already clear that the matter will be hushed up by the oligarchs' media, which would be in hysterics for months if the scandal involved synagogues. This is from Gloria TV. So it has some kind of sarcastic comments there. But so the FBI is spying on SSPX chapels. So there you go. It's officially in FBI documents, and I think that came to light like months ago, and the FBI said, "Oh no, it's a mistake. Sorry." I don't think they were sorry. I don't think it was a mistake. Senator Tim Kaine said that it was all a big misunderstanding that resulted from vague wording in a report. So I believe, wasn't he the running mate for Hillary Clinton? And does he claim to be a Catholic? Is he one of those fake Biden Catholics? Anyway, Kaine said the purpose of the investigation was actually to look into so-called violent extremists who were targeting radical traditionalist Catholics in an effort to recruit them. He said, "I think the key is communication. If the FBI has a concern like that, then go to the church leaders and say, hey, look, we have a concern and we don't want your members to get unwittingly caught up in something." Okay. And they're going to listen to the FBI. Why? So this is definitely the government starting to infiltrate religion. He said similar things had been done before to protect other worshippers. We have done the same thing. He said, we have done the same thing for years, working in tandem with mosques, because there have been groups that have tried to target or radicalize, especially young people. After clarifying the matter with the FBI, Kaine said he helped connect bishops with the FBI so they could further discuss these concerns with transparency. So it's a collusion between bishops and the government to stomp out Catholics. It's happening already. That's what happens in the communist state. They did it during COVID. They colluded. Believe me. The bishops, at least in the state of Pennsylvania, from what I've heard, the bishops met with politicians and decided voluntarily to close churches during the virus shutdowns. In Pennsylvania, there's a state law that prohibits the restriction of religion, of the practice of religion, and so that the government would not be able to shut down churches legally. The bishops voluntarily did it. There are also communist plants. I mean, if you look at the FBI, who's running the FBI? Communists. They're running the FBI. And so there may be communist plants at your Latin Mass. Think about that. Think about that the next time you meet someone at your Latin Mass. If I show up to a different Latin Mass community, if I'm traveling or something, I hope they're not suspicious of me, but you don't know. You don't know. You gotta check their credentials. And more news from the FBI. I just thought this was kind of funny. So, new documents released last Monday warned that common internet lingo is being associated with what is called violent extremism by the FBI. So, Tim Kaine was talking about violent extremists who are targeting traditional Catholics, so-called violent extremists. Here's what the violent extremists say. Here's some of the words that they use. One term in the glossary is red pill. These are the violent extremists that the FBI wants to infiltrate churches and protect you against. Have you heard the term red pill? I first heard it on Taylor Marshall's channel. This comes from the 1999 film The Matrix and has been used as a metaphor for seeing hidden or politically incorrect truths about the modern world, particularly when it comes to politics or dating. The FBI list of key terms defines it as a belief shared by many online communities that a society is corrupt and that the believer is a victim of this corruption. The glossary, the FBI's glossary, defines the term Chad as a race-specific term used to describe the idealized version of a male who is very successful at getting romantic attention from women, later noting incels are the people that they hate, unsuccessfully compete against Chads for attention. And then the word based is defined by the FBI as a word used to refer to someone who has been converted to racist ideology or as a way of indicating ideological agreement. Are you based and red-pilled? If you are, then you're a violent extremist, according to the FBI. And Tim Kaine says that, your beliefs are not welcome in this country by the FBI. So there you go. We're being targeted. We're the target. It's not the people. It's not isolated people at the Latin Mass. We are the target. Catholics are the target. Unless you're a fake Catholic. There was this one post by a Franciscan. I believe I referenced something about this religious Franciscan order maybe in last week's show. But this guy, he always posts heretical garbage, but he's a professor, well, a Franciscan priest. He doesn't list himself as father. That would be too old school for this guy, but he does have pronouns in his Twitter bio, so there you go. Supports the LMNOP agenda. But he said that if you, like, sitting in adoration, basically, more or less, he said sitting in adoration is pointless if you don't do social justice stuff. So there you go. There's your Eucharistic theology by a theologian who's teaching at a university, by the way. A university student, that's the next story, though. The canon of St. Patrick Oratory of the Institute of Christ the King in Hartford, Archdiocese in Connecticut, baptized a female university student during the Paschal Vigil. Her local bishop forbade Mass and the sacraments, but she wanted to be baptized in the sole expression of the Roman Rite. So she traveled over 300 miles to the Institute's chapel for Easter. The student wanted to become Catholic after fellow students took her to Mass as part of a group that travels to a different diocese every Sunday. It may be, did they go to a Latin Mass every Sunday? That would be a good group to be a part of. All right. And I talked a little bit about the evil synod. I mean, the synod is, very clearly evil. It's not the only, it is really the only synod to talk about, and it's evil. But anyway, from April 12th until April 19th, a group of so-called experts from the 5 continents who participated in various capacities in the synodal process will meet at the General Secretariat of the Synod for a time of work and fake discernment on the continental stage and the 7 final documents of the Continental Synodal Assemblies with the aim of starting the reflection that will lead at a later stage to the drafting of the Instrumentum Laboris, the working document for the first session of the Ordinary General Assembly of the Synod of Bishops, Vatican City 429, October 2023. Okay, so that's when they're going to start it, at the end of the month. It's evil. It's evil, but hopefully it's heretical enough that so many people will be red-pilled and based that they will reject the false sect of Cardinal Hollerich and Cardinal McElroy and Cupich and all the bad guys. Oh, speaking of Cupich, the Archdiocese of Chicago is expected to restrict the exposition of the Eucharist during a national Eucharistic pilgrimage that will traverse the Chicago region next year, ahead of the Eucharistic Congress scheduled for next July. While Cardinal Blaise Cupich has argued that an emphasis on adoration could distract from catechesis about the importance of the Mass, Bishop Andrew Cozzens has stressed a unified vision between Eucharistic adoration and the worship of God in the Mass. So there's dissent among bishops. Shocker. Push back harder. The good guys aren't going to fight. That's the problem. You got to fight. You got to fight these rotten, corrupt people. So I said it a long time ago. I've probably said it several times on this channel, but I think it's worth repeating. I said this Eucharistic revival probably wasn't going to work. I mean, it's not going to be nearly what they expected, because the focus is not on the Eucharist. It's on social justice. As soon as they started this, they did a little bit of Eucharistic stuff, and they said, let's go and feed the homeless people as part of the Eucharistic revival. And these celebrity priests, these Eucharistic revival celebrity priests, whenever they had their retreat, their meeting, or whatever it was, they had a little bit of Eucharistic stuff, and then they had a section, a time, whenever they went and fed the homeless, and they said, oh, this is part of the Eucharist. And so basically the whole idea is to de-emphasize the Eucharist and focus on social justice. That's what it's leading to. Even the good bishops are being fooled. They're being completely fooled. It's the Eucharist. There are Eucharistic miracles, and not just in the last 50 years. There's Eucharistic miracles. I read a book, The Incredible Catholic Mass. It was written in the 1700s, and it lists a number of Eucharistic miracles that had occurred. Now, I mean, it was in the Latin Mass. So, and speaking of the Latin Mass, that's being banned, so you can't really do any of that stuff. Really shouldn't use any of those practices. Communion on tongue while kneeling at altar rails. No, we can't really do that. We just need to tell people that we haven't told them for the last 50 years. They won't say outside the church there is no salvation. I mean, outside the church there is no Eucharist. But it's also true that outside, I mean, you can have both those things be true. Outside the church there is no salvation. Outside the church there is no Eucharist. But yeah, Eucharistic revival. Okay, moving on to former Cardinal McCarrick. This is news today. He has been criminally charged with fourth-degree sexual assault in Wisconsin for an incident that allegedly occurred in April 1977. He is currently being criminally charged in Massachusetts. He's in the process in Massachusetts for sexually abusing a minor, an accusation he denies, and it's a developing story, so if there's anything more important on that, I will follow up next week with that. What I will say is that this is Wisconsin, it's a different state, and it involved a house by a lake. There you go, him and his beach houses. And I don't know that that's going to go anywhere. I don't know that the case in Massachusetts will either. I mean, I wish that the courts, I'm not sure how the courts work. I don't know the full story. I wish they'd subpoena information and people, but I don't think that's even going to progress to that. I think it's just going to be continually delayed until he dies. He's 92, I think. So, I mean, it's just going to keep going and going and going. Like the Energizer Bunny, except it's going to Except when they're waiting for the battery to die on the Energizer Bunny. Just keep going, 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 beating that drum and covering your ears so that no one can, nothing to see here, nothing to see here, and then it'll be buried once he dies. That's what they hope. Where's his money gonna go? Apparently, he has a lot of money. A lot of people have a vested interest in keeping things quiet. Let's just say, especially the people that Vigano named. That would be interesting. I'm interested to know how McCarrick influenced their appointments to where they are at. Cupich, Tobin, McElroy, even Whirl. What about Gregory? Does he have a connection to McCarrick? That'd be interesting to see. Okay, that's all I have for today. I hope to do a few more videos. There's some interesting stuff. Have you seen the video, is it Father Flagger in Chicago, the guy who did the crazy mass? If no one does a video of this thing, I will. I might on this channel. He had like a Last Supper with like women sitting around a table, but he tried to like use the words of consecration. Yeah, it's the mass is absolutely not licit, but it's in Chicago. But you can't attend the Latin mass. You can attend this so-called mass, but which will fulfill your obligation. But the Latin mass you can't attend. Well, of course they have the SSPX there, so you can't attend the Latin mass on any Sunday. So anyway, thank you so much for... Oh, wait, one more thing, too. There was a rumor about, how the Latin Mass wasn't cracked down during Holy Week. But there is a rumor that there may be more coming this month, but still just rumors. And until it's true, you won't know. And again, I don't know if anything is set in stone anyway, but Francis's hospital stay, which some people are saying he had a heart attack, that definitely pushed certain things back. Who knows what all it pushed back? Maybe Latin Mass crackdowns. Maybe we're just worried about nothing. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say worried, but it is definitely concerning. There are more diocesan masses than religious order, than Ecclesia Dei, like FSSP Institute masses or SSPX masses. So the diocesan masses, Latin masses, would presumably take the brunt of any kind of new restrictions if they were to come out, which would be very unfortunate. There's several hundred in the United States. That would be sad. Oh, YouTube's trying to censor me. You just got my notification. Oh boy. Alright, well, you'll have to just rewatch it and comment your thoughts. I don't really know what to do. I don't know. I mean, this is just what it is. And if this channel gets shut down, I'd actually be really sad if the channel got shut down, because I like to... I mean, I like doing this, I mean, sometimes I sort of say, oh, but no, it's nice to compile news and see what everyone's thoughts are, get some good feedback, and encourage people to try different things, So, I already have a Rumble channel. John the Son of Thunder, search for it. I have very few subscribers on there, but there's some content that would get banned on YouTube. So, check out that content. But, no, I don't know. Alright. That's it. Sorry if you came late. There's nothing I can do. I mean, if YouTube's like censoring me, whatever, I can't do anything about it. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we are the laity, and we will not be silent.